Hey everybody, it's Mucha Marapa from Matrix Global Media and creator of the Facebook Timeline Management Blueprint. And welcome to another Facebook Timeline review where I just really peel back the onion on a number of timelines that are out there and offer just constructive feedback on how some already good timeline fan pages could be even better. Now, this wonderful property that you're looking at isn't too far away from where I live in Suffolk. It's called Seckford Hotel, and I think the first place where I really need to start here and how I actually learnt about their timeline and that is really giving kudos to the Suffolk Chamber of Commerce. Now, it's not often, I mean, I've certainly been a member of different chambers of commerce where they haven't really put themselves out on a regular basis to really promote their members and their properties, and perhaps I'm doing other chambers a disservice, but this is just my own experience. But Suffolk are fantastic, they really are. And just a few weeks ago with a client of ours, Mandy Errington over Deja Vu Boutique, they did the same sort of thing. So, you know, real congratulations and thank you to the folks at Suffolk Chamber of Commerce. They really are doing fantastic things in helping us, the local business, who are also looking to take our offerings to a higher level, and so thanks for that. But anyway, getting back to it, this is where I always like to start at, because once again, and I sort of say this an awful lot via the blueprint, but I also say it with all of my marketing, is that your Facebook page is just another form of media. It sits alongside your website, it sits alongside your advertising, it sits alongside your email marketing, it sits alongside your direct mail as well. So I like to see how they are sort of integrated to start with. So as you can see, this is the Seckford Hall website. Beautiful, you know, just really shows the premises, the properties. Wonderful. As you know, I'm all about direct response, so what I do is I probably put a little bit more of a critical eye to see how many opportunities are there, or how many times are we asked to respond and gather an email and so on and so forth. But really, that's another conversation for another time. I like this website. I think it does this wonderful property so much justice, and if you are in the area, I strongly recommend that you try it out. So what I'd like to see, and where I do sort of begin my review here, is, okay, we're reviewing timeline. So how easy is it for somebody to see something on this website that tells them that there is a Facebook page available? And as we budge down the page a little bit here, you can see it says connect with us. Now, it's done in a nice sort of understated way, out of the way of everything, so I'm actually okay about that. All right. What I would like to see, however, on this page is a like button. So what's the difference between a like button and the button here? Well, this button here is a hyperlink to the actual fan page. Okay, we'll go there in a moment. Whereas a like button is a button that remains on your website, so while somebody is actually, you know, having a read on the site and negotiating their way around the website, they can like your page without leaving your website. So just to give you an example of that, here is Moon's Cycles. Okay, these are a client of ours. We did their website, and as you can see, all the direct response here to, yeah, I'd like to win something, and so on and so forth. But here on this side is an example of a like box. Okay, so while people are here on the site, they'll be able to click like and not move away, right? So they will join the fan page without necessarily going to the fan page. And we've got another one with Twitter here. Now, for those of you who think, well, that's all very well, but we don't necessarily want it to be that big, okay, you look at my own sort of website, for example. This is just for one of them, for our landing pages. We do our business one-page website, I call them. Here, this is a like box here. So, and me being me, you know, I think you know by now, I just sort of slap it out there. I'm not overly concerned with the cosmetics as I am with the ability to capture information and make people do something. But that's just to say that on the Seckford Hall Hotel website, right, the like button can be as small as this. It doesn't have to be as big as the one with Moons, but I would like to see a like box somewhere, so when somebody is here on the site, they click on, they like the page, and they can continue their experience, because really visiting this website is an experience. Okay, so my next point here is that if we do indeed go and click on the page, you can't actually see below where it's giving the web address, but there is an issue that I have with the fact that they have yet to sort of create what we like to call the vanity name. So here I am on the page, I've clicked through, and if you look at the top here, you've got facebook.com pages /Seckford Hall hotel /27. This is a real mouthful, okay? And with over 1,000 fans, and congratulations for that, with over 1,000 fans, there is no reason to leave it like that. Where does this become quite significant? Well, it becomes significant with these guys here, Google, okay? Because I'm just going to go over here and I will put in Seckford Hall Hotel. Now, after I've put that up, okay, of course it shows in the search engines, but there is no Facebook page that is actually showing in the search engines, and that's because I think the search engines and Facebook are having too much of a hard time finding this URL, so it needs to be tidied up. Okay, now conversely, if we put Seckford Hall Hotel Facebook, if we move a bit further down, here it is, okay? But as you can see, it's a scruffy looking URL, okay? Now the way to change that is very simple. All you need to do, you just go up to here and you replace the actual Seckford Hall Hotel with username, and then you click that on, and if you go through that process, okay, it will bring up your admin and say how would you like to change the name and so on and so forth. And what I would probably do is it would be making sure, I'm very big on just using something uppercase like that, just so it can really pop out there when people look, Seckford Hall Hotel. I would do something like that. So I really do think that that's an important thing that needs to be changed, just to tidy it up. And I think, you know, even if you're on the phone speaking to somebody, they'll be able to say, okay, yeah, just go to facebook.com /Seckford Hall Hotel. Just sort of rolls off the tongue a little bit. Okay, moving right along. So here we are on the actual fan page itself, and you know, I suppose the big thing that really stands out for me, and I mention it a lot in the blueprint itself, is the need to Google Doodle your covers. So what do I mean by that? Those of you familiar with the Google Doodles that come out anytime there's, you know, an anniversary or a landmark, something to sort of shout about, somebody's birthday who's no longer with us perhaps, or might be still with us for that matter. They create these doodles which are fantastic, and in the blueprint I talk about Google doodling your covers, and all I mean is you need to vary your covers as much as possible relative to the offer that you have and the offering, the overall product offering. So when we go to the Seckford Hall Hotel website, there is so much here, okay? There's the hall, there's the accommodation, different kinds of accommodation, the packages, there's dining, you see banquet and private dining, there's a spa, there's weddings, there's beauty treatments, there's conferencing, there's things going on in the area, there's news which I will talk about, and there's special offers as well. So when we click onto the page here, we see 5 covers, and 5 covers only, and when we move along here, we see we basically see covers that do not do the overall justice compared to what we see on the website itself. Now this is very significant from the standpoint that if you click on a cover, you can put a link there. I talk about it an awful lot in the blueprint. I've also got it on my YouTube channel where you can actually write something. So for example, these Christmas nights in the beautiful marquee, they could go up here, they could write a comment and put a hyperlink that could take you back to the website. So I'd really like to just see them utilizing this more. And yeah, on my FB timeline dimensions page, okay, this one here that I've got, all right, I change my covers every single week. All right, every week I change them, and every week there is an offer, there's a link. So let's have a look at this as an example. All right, see, sign up for the free audio lesson here on our page, so on and so forth. See your fortunes go to the next level. There is a link there. So this will not only show up in the cover of everybody, all right, but it will also have a hyperlink which will enable them to go somewhere. And if somebody clicks on here, there I am, I take them to the YouTube channel where I've got a radio program. Let me just put the volume. All right, welcome. Off on that, and underneath there I've created a link that they can go ahead and they can sort of invest in the blueprint if they would like to. So what I'm just saying is that take advantage of the comprehensive product offering that you have. If you have a product offering, and I'm not just referring to Seckford here, regardless of what it is, make sure it features in the covers here. And while it is good to put the phone number and the website here as well, sometimes given the fact that you can write that as a link, as I just showed you, allow the covers to show in all their glory, because once they come up in the newsfeed of others, they can be very, very good for you. Alright, just moving right along. This is quite a contentious area because I am of the firm belief, I've got quite a few local business clients, and they always have the last word. That's very important, but if I have the opportunity to put my 2 cents in, I do not like them to classify themselves as a local business, not because they're not a local business, but just because it takes away some of the functionality under here. Now, Seckford have identified themselves as a hotel. They've put their address and they've put their phone number here. I always am not too convinced that enough people would actually look and think, okay, let's get the address from here, or let's give them a call, or even the hours that they are open. And what I mean by that is there is an opportunity to put a link there if you change the classification. I always use product or service. So when we look here at my FB timeline marketing, one of them, the ones which I'm actually in the progress of migrating, here, this is what I mean here. And this is always proved, whether it's on here or whether it's actually here on my timeline dimensions. This has turned out to be the most clicked URL on timeline for me. Always. For whatever reason, people just go here, they'll see a little message here. It's almost like a tweetable, okay, that you can put here and you can click on. So all I would say is that that's worth considering, particularly if they do something like special offer of the week or something else like that, to change this classification here, write some blurb, put a hyperlink, and just test, see how it works for them. Okay. Now, in the blueprint as well, I always talk about, I refer to this as a power line, okay, because I want to have the ability to click a hyperlink here and then really using these custom tabs over here. Now, in total, you have 12, up to 12. Now, I'm using, what am I using? I'm using 8 here. I mean, the photos, you don't have much choice, likes likewise, but these tabs here. And if we actually move on to the Matrix Global Media, this was always a wonderful case study for me, because for the longest time I had literally 40 likes, yet I would be selling regular and often here. And the reason is, it was because of the quality of all my custom tabs here. So when we look at Seckford, given the fact that they are a hotel, a fantastic one with all sorts of things available, I think they're leaving quite a bit on the table by not utilizing these tabs here. Okay, now I've got a free training program about how to set up your business page, how to set up a page as opposed to having the personal. You see so many people and businesses running their business from a personal page, and the one tab instruction that I put for this here was to put an email tab. I think if you're only going to put one tab here, one custom tab, make it an email tab. All right. And then when I did a bit more sort of snooping around here on the site, I did see that they the folks at Seckford did have a newsletter function here where you could sign up for the newsletter, and it was MailChimp. Okay, now let me just see if I can get this back, because it's whenever I have my screen capture software on it, it makes it a bit tougher. So yeah, here for example, so it's got the email, it's got the first name, it's got the last name, and you can subscribe to it. So they use MailChimp. I'm aware of that, and there is a MailChimp app. Okay, so if we just go MailChimp and you click on, and by the way, this would be a recommendation that I make to all companies and businesses, because it's a free, here it is, MailChimp app. So quite easily, right? It's just asking me to continue, so this is why I can't do that. I was just showing it for sort of reference purposes. So again, what my advice would be to the folks over at Seckford would be to go to MailChimp. They've already got a MailChimp account, it appears, because I signed up on their page, and just apply the app here, just so again they can encourage people here on their timeline to sign up. They've got them in the funnel, and they can take them away from their Facebook page. And then really just utilizing all those tabs. As I said, I don't have half as much or even a third as much as what Seckford have to offer, yet I do my best to utilize as many of these tabs. I really do believe, and I talk about it a lot in the blueprint, that your success and your monetization potential on timeline, meaning your way to actually generate business on timeline, I believe is directly proportional to how strategic you are with a lot of these here. Okay, yes, you can take people off a lot of the time, that's absolutely fine, but even if you're doing advertising and you're wanting to show certain pages, the more money and buying options you have here, or information, this is a free audio, this is free training here, this is coaching that I offer, this is an advertising landing page I offer, this is designing a page. This is why I don't get so bent out of shape about how many likes I have, because I know just the handful that I have, when they come to these pages, I'm able to monetize my business. So I do think by not having a single sort of money tab or an opportunity to capture an email, I think that's where the big potential is for Seckford. And of course, in the blueprint, I always promote the fact that you can do all this in just 1 hour of your time a week, right? I mean, sounds totally different to what everybody says about how much time you spend over there, but once you set things up, as you can see, the majority of this video has all been about the setup, the optimization, the strategy, and then we move on to posting itself. So when we look at posting, the one thing that I see is quite evident here with Seckford is there is always stuff going on, which is fantastic. And we look at the news page here. It was a great idea having the news tab added to their website. Okay, always something going on. Look at that grand opening, announcing special charity coffee and cakes morning, key appointments, Woodbridge Carnival, refurbs, so on and so forth. And then when we move on to the page itself, and we move down here, you could see where were they? There was one posting where they had about 900, and they said, listen, we just need another 100 to get our 1,000. So clearly making things happen, and they did get to 1,000, but there's no milestones here. So once again, I would really like to see them taking advantage of milestones. If you look at my timeline dimensions, I mean, every time I get 100 people, I milestone it. I say to a lot of people, I grew up in a household where we were always encouraged to celebrate small victories. There was always a bigger picture, but if we did something that was, really made things, mum and dad will say, well, that's great, let's celebrate, So here we are, for example, 900 likes. This was July the 19th. I said thank you, Zeba Gad, wonderful singer. She was actually the 900th, so I honored Zeba, but I went ahead and put that it was a milestone. And prior to that, I think when I had 800, which was maybe 10 or 2 weeks before that, I celebrated that as well. So take advantage to really highlight whenever something's going on. Make a milestone of it. Here we go, 800. Let me just find that. Yeah, I did 700 as well. Do you see what I mean? So if the hotel itself has all these different things going on their page, they really need to utilize the milestones, and it's very simple to do. Let me just go over here, put it on, we move up to the page. You just go as though you're making a regular comment. You go to offer or event, click on there, you click on milestone, and there it is. Okay, you can put an image in there, so when they did get their 1,000th people, or they've got this Woodbridge Carnival event and things like that, just write it in there, make it a milestone. And this is really interesting here, because you can go back on yourself to write at the beginning. I've got a client who did that, Steve Grinstead, out in California, and every time you're posting, if you don't want everybody to sort of see that, just go ahead and click that button hide, and it won't show as you update it if you're going way back. Otherwise everyone will just get bombarded for all your previous milestones. But really, I'd like to see them take advantage of the milestones. And then finally, we just talk about posting. I just think it's the make or break of your time on timeline, okay? And the important thing is to understand EdgeRank. I talk about EdgeRank an awful lot in some of my videos and also in the blueprint itself. And basically, EdgeRank is the algorithm. This is how they decide how many of these 1,009 people see the Seckford Hall posts in their news feed, because not everybody comes to a page like this. They actually see it in the news feed. All right, so what we want to do, what you want to really think about doing is, okay, I've got to create this sort of posts that makes people interact, okay? And my overriding sort of observation here is use images as much as possible, because when you've got people on mobile devices and they just see copy like this, although you know they do have a very, very loyal, dedicated sort of fan base here, lots of interaction, which is great, okay, but they need to carry on. Post a lot of images. You know, images really make it happen for you. We try and do that. Let me just cancel this. I very rarely post something on my own timeline without putting an image here, and all I'm doing is I'm just trying to cover and make it look appealing to people who have sort of got mobile devices, iPads, even on their phones and things like that. All right, so I'd like to see a few more images used. The one glaring thing I just do not see here is video, and I would be, you know, again, it just needs to be a 2-minute video here and there, or something that they can do. They must have examples of when they've done wedding shows or things like that, but as part of the posting strategy, I would look to put some video in there. And then finally, it's just about asking for the response. Sometimes you've just got to really come out there and say, like this post, or comment on it, or could you please share this post, and that will enable the sort of news feeds of others to stay active because they are being asked to provide a response. So then, just really to summarize what I would say to Seckford with this review here. Number one is get a Facebook like box. You know, you can decide on the style. It doesn't have to be the actual square box that was on Moon Cycles. It could be just a small like button, but get a like box, okay? Secondly, create a vanity name. This is so important, just to tidy it up, get it a little easier found in the search engines. And my recommendation again would be to make the capital S, the capital H, and the capital H. Google Doodle the covers, all right? There should be a cover a week, and it's not difficult. Sometimes just get a photograph, that's fine. Combining the Seckford Hall Hotel offering, you know, show the weddings, show the conferencing, show the grounds, show the afternoon teas, you know, and then calendar dates. I mean, we're the time of this video, we're really literally at the end of July, but you know, when there's a Father's Day or a Mother's Day and all the rest of it, Valentine's Day, you know, Christmas, and combine that, you know, put that in the cover, really change it up. Considering changing the classification so you can optimize the area under the profile pic. That's something to really, really consider, just so they have an ability to optimize. And what I'm talking about is this area here, okay? Change it from hotel to product or service. Use another web URL there. Get them off Facebook. Get them into your mailing list. Add the MailChimp application to the application tabs, okay? If there's one thing that I would just strongly recommend they do straight away is go into search, get the MailChimp app, and just download it here, okay? What I will probably do at the end of this video, I will leave a link for the specific video where I show myself doing that, if it will help. But I think the folks at Seckford are very comfortable and competent with their marketing, but I'll put it there anyway. Utilize as many of the tabs as strategically possible. I think there is a direct correlation to how many of these you use, and considering that, you know, they've got 10 tabs they could potentially use here. They've got photos and likes. The other thing they could do is, because they've got all sorts of different forms of social media, they could add their Google Plus application, their Twitter one. They could put just so much there. They've got the potential, as you can see, they're on Google Plus, the brochure. All these things could be actually put as application tabs here, so I strongly recommend that they do that. Add milestones. There is always something going on at Seckford. That's what I've just noticed from the website. So add the milestones, celebrate those small victories, give people an opportunity to enjoy that and be aware of it via your timeline page. And then from posting, use a few more images as you post. Avoid the sort of text only. It really does show with people that when they see images, they like, they comment, share more. Add video. Add some videos to those posts, and I'm not saying necessarily a link to a YouTube channel. Actually get a video and load it up to Facebook and play it. Do one a week. That's what I sort of do with my timeline blueprint. And then ask specifically, get out there and say, like this, or share this, or please comment, or what are your thoughts on that. Get them to interact, because then Facebook will say, oh, this person who's interacting with Seckford, they like them, so I will make sure that Seckford's posts show more than another business's posts. So you've got to ask for those likes, comments, and shares. Okay, well, thanks for that. This was a bit detailed, but I enjoyed doing it. I enjoy doing this. I think it's so important that you get your head around the whole strategy of this and realize that Facebook sits alongside all your other things. And once you've optimized your page, I mean, so much of what I spoke about in this particular review are one-off changes. You know, the username, a one-off change, a link under the profile there, a one-off change, application tabs, a one-off change, milestones. Once you've done that, then you can get into the habit of just doing 1 hour of posts a week, 7 days, all right, where you can do direct response, you can sell, you can really interact, and you can sort of really track your effectiveness on timeline. And I'd really like to invite you to sort of enjoy learning. This is how I teach, but I do have the timeline management blueprint itself, which is 88 pages of how to properly set up your page, then design, optimize it, and then of course we get into the posting and we go deep. But we also have videos in there. I call them Facebook 5-minute focuses, where I just sort of narrow down on some things. So instead of just having everything to read there is a short video, all 5 minutes. I think I've got one that's 7 minutes, where I just go through some almost you're looking over my shoulder as we go through some of these things. And then finally, for those of you that have enjoyed this review and feel that you could sort of learn more from them, or in fact if you would like to put your own fan page forward to have a review, just go over to fbtimelinereview.com. Okay, what I tend to do is I load up the latest review that I have done, but there's also a box here where I actually say, enter your name and add me to your review list. And what happens here is I will choose one of the business pages that have been put forward. Not only will they get a review, they'll get a 30-minute consultation afterwards. As I've said, look, did you see that? How was this? And so on and so forth. And then you're just notified every time that there is a review there. So, thanks very much for this. I've enjoyed it. I do appreciate all the comments and the feedback. So please go over to the FB Timeline Dimensions page. Okay, it's fan page Timeline Dimensions, and post your comments. Let me know what you thought of this review, if you've got any questions or comments or feedback. And once again, if you would like to learn and study with me, I've got the Facebook Timeline Management Blueprint. It does come with some bonuses, so we're going to be doing 3 coaching calls as well, 1-hour coaching calls as a group, where we cover Facebook ads, how to grow your fan page get more fans, and also how to really utilize those custom tabs. There's a private Facebook group as well, so you just get to really sort of deep dive with it. But more importantly, you just learn enough where you don't have to do as much as everybody will tell you have to do. 1 hour a week is all it will take once you've set it up correctly, and I'd love to work with you on that. So until next time, thanks very much for watching this FB Timeline review, and I look forward to speaking to you again very, very soon.